Morning. Okay, so here on the left we have my grandma. And as a traditional baby boomer, she would wake up on a Saturday morning, grab a big pile of her family's clothes, and walk right out of her door. And together with her best friend, they would walk to a river, 2 kilometers away from her small house in Pignone in Italy, where they would spend the day just washing these clothes and allowing them to sun dry, and of course, talking about the local town boys. Flash forward a generation to Generation X, when my mom was 15, and her typical Saturday afternoon consisted of climbing cherry trees and taking her dog on long, leisurely walks. And yet, as a 15-year-old now, I find that my Saturday afternoons stray from the tranquility of rivers and cute puppies, and I find myself rushing. From golf competition to piano class to completing homework to designing and sourcing the autumn-winter collection for a small fashion franchise I started last year called Fiato. And observing these fairly drastic changes in lifestyle, of course, I asked myself, what's caused this acceleration in the pace of life? And without a shadow of a doubt, I determined that technology had to be responsible. Now, don't get me wrong, I use technology for almost every aspect of my life. I'll wake up in the morning and check the weather app to see what the weather will be like that day, whereas my mom would have physically walked to the window and looked outside. While I'm eating breakfast, I'll scroll through Instagram and check the news, and on my way to school, I'll listen to all of my favorite music. But despite these obvious benefits of technology is eradicating fundamental values that were embedded in prior generations, specifically trust, truth, and patience. So let's start with trust. When my parents were kids, they trusted that with a solid education and hard work, they'd be able to grow up and secure a good job for life. That was the idea that they grew up with: school, 1 university degree, 1 postgraduate degree to specialize in 1 job, and then eventually retirement. Yet technology has revolutionized this traditional blueprint of our lives into one that could eventually eliminate the mainstream 9-to-5 job. If we observe the integration of technology in our workplaces, we see that many of the great inventions were designed to eliminate human labor. The spinning jenny, for instance, was the first automated sewing machine, and it was one of the most significant inventions of the Industrial Revolution. Why? Because it substituted inconsistent human labor for flawless machine execution. This elimination of human jobs has been occurring for over 200 years, and it will continue to do so. And now that artificial intelligence is on the horizon, we will face the 5th industrial revolution, which will transfigure the face of our workplaces. This is Frederick Windsor Taylor, and he was famous for his theories that sought to improve industrial efficiency. He said, in the past, the man has been first. In the future, the system must be first. This beautifully summarizes the idea that regardless, artificial intelligence will revolutionize so many of our jobs. In fact, according to a study reported by the BBC, over 800 million jobs are estimated to be automated in just over 10 years. This massive shift will realize the 12 to 15 occupations that members of Generation Z, like you and I, are estimated to have in a single lifetime. So the blueprint that I was telling you about has scrambled itself into an ambiguous, uncertain process where a master's degree may no longer be enough to guarantee us a stable job for life. And just like that, technology has revolutionized trust. Next, we have truth. Technology is just this huge plethora of opinions and beliefs, and because you don't need to be a published author to share your ideas anymore, the media's role as the gatekeeper of truth is gone. Anyone can share anything on the internet, regardless of its accuracy or truthfulness. In fact, lies have a tendency to spread faster than truth does on the internet. A study done at MIT cemented this observation, where they found that false claims were over 70% more likely to be shared on Twitter than true claims. Just like Mark Twain said, a lie can travel halfway around the world, while the truth is still lacing up its boots. This widespread lie on the internet is being caused by a different aspect of technology: social media. According to a study conducted by the Pew Research Center, over 2/3 of adults receive at least part of their news on social media. And of that demographic, under half specified Facebook as a source. The problem is the software algorithms that decide our news feeds are programmed to prioritize user attention over truth to optimize engagement. So technology is no longer giving us the truth, but opinions and beliefs that don't necessarily have ground to stand on. This has two fundamental effects. Firstly, it elicits tendencies of users to select information adhering to their own system of beliefs, also known as confirmation bias. And secondly, it creates groups of like-minded people whose view is utterly polarized, because the only information that they know is that which proves their already conceived notions. And just like that, there we go. Technology has revolutionized truth for Generation Z. And the last one standing, but not for long, is patience. We have all seen the spinning beach ball of doom, a sour indication of having to waste few precious moments of your life waiting for your web page to load. Ramesh Sitaraman, a computer scientist, observed the viewing habits of over 6.7 million users. And he found that users were willing to wait just 2 seconds before deciding that the page was taking too long to load, and left. After 5 seconds, over 25% was the abandonment rate. And after 10 seconds, half of his subjects were gone. Our brains hate waiting, so we sped up everything else. We multitask, we work on endless projects, and not surprisingly, diagnosis of attention deficit disorder has skyrocketed. According to a study reported by the BBC, the average attention span of an adult dropped from 12 seconds to 8 in less than a decade. This massive shift of technology has caused us to feel an increased inner pressure for instant gratification. The problem is, if we expect our relationships and our skills to work as fast as we expect our Wi-Fi to, we will have no resilience when it comes to the most important parts of our lives that have to be nurtured: our friends, our families, our communities, our passions. And just like that, technology has revolutionized patience for Generation Z. So in a world where technology will never stop developing and evolving, I'd like to leave you with this quote: "You can't stop the waves, but you can learn how to surf." Now, we should be taking advantage of this platform that only Generation Z has been offered at such an early pace in our life. And I tried to take advantage of this wave of technology through the small fashion franchise I started called eradicated, which means breathless in English. I watched a huge amount of YouTube tutorials to set up a website on Shopify and researched ways to link our products to our Instagram page. Why did I do this? Because I wanted to set up a platform where other breathless Generation Z had a one-stop shop where they could find all of their fashion needs. And so, in a world where technology has become instrumental to our societies, the only way for Generation Z to survive this fifth industrial revolution is to embrace and preserve the values that distinguish us as human beings from any piece of technology that can ever be invented. So although we live our lives breathless and a perdifiato, remember, be patient with yourself, truthful and trustworthy with others. Thank you.